It is brought to you by Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian.
We fight hard, fight clean, touch them up.
Jake Paul finally met his match when he found himself face-to-face with Iron Mike Tyson in the ring. What did we all expect? The YouTuber gets in the ring with the baddest man on the planet in Iron Mike Tyson. This was the humbling of a lifetime, as Jake Paul was so petrified that he wouldn't even dare look Mike Tyson in the eyes in the ring. Mike Tyson launched forward with his peekaboo style, bobbing and weaving all of Jake Paul's sloppy punches as Mike got up close and unleashed a barrage of attacks.
Mike on top and bangs him with a left hook right away and falls towards Mike Tyson. And time is called now, 8-2. Good instructions given by the ref in the early going. Mike gets him with the right hand. He was really there with a flush right hand. It's up to 5 and 6. He's not going to make it. Mike Tyson in dramatic fashion knocks out in the early seconds of the first round.
You took it. I knew I hit you with a good shot. You took it. You took it. I respect that.
The atmosphere in the arena was charged with excitement as fans eagerly awaited the clash between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. This was more than just a fight. It was a spectacle, a collision of different eras in boxing. Jake Paul, the brash YouTube star turned boxer, had made a name for himself by defeating a series of hand-picked opponents, most of whom were either past their prime or had never been serious threats in the ring. Paul's critics often accused him of making a mockery of the sport, but his confidence remained unshaken as he stepped into the ring to face one of boxing's most legendary figures. Mike Tyson, at 58 years old, was far removed from his prime, but the aura of Iron Mike was still as strong as ever. Tyson's name alone carried an immense weight, a reminder of the fearsome power and skill he once wielded as the youngest heavyweight champion in history. As he entered the ring, there was a sense of nostalgia, but also a palpable tension. Could the aging Tyson still deliver the kind of performance that had made him a household name? The special rules for the bout, including 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves, were designed to protect both fighters, but they did little to diminish the sense of danger that loomed over the event. From the opening bell, it was clear that this would not be a typical Jake Paul fight. Paul, who had relied on his youthful energy and aggressive style to overwhelm previous opponents, found himself facing a completely different kind of challenge in Tyson. The older man's movements were measured, deliberate, and deceptively fast for someone his age. Tyson's ring IQ, honed over decades, was on full display as he patiently waited for openings, countering Paul's jabs with powerful, precise shots to the body. Paul's confidence seemed to waver as the reality of the situation set in. He had expected Tyson to be slower, perhaps easier to hit, but the former champion's defense was tight, his reflexes sharp. Every time Paul tried to establish his jab, Tyson would slip inside, delivering punishing hooks to the body that clearly hurt the younger fighter. The crowd could sense the shift in momentum as Tyson began to impose his will on the fight, breaking down Paul's defenses with each passing second. The difference in experience between the two fighters was glaringly obvious. While Paul was used to overwhelming his opponents with sheer aggression, Tyson's approach was methodical, almost surgical. He knew exactly when to press forward and when to hang back, using feints and footwork to keep Paul off balance. As the round progressed, it became clear that Tyson was setting Paul up for something big, drawing him in with body shots and then retreating just enough to avoid the counter. Midway through the first round, Tyson began to shift his focus from the body to the head. Paul, already showing signs of fatigue and frustration, tried to mount an offense, but Tyson was always one step ahead. With a quick feint to the left, Tyson drew Paul's guard down, and in a flash, he unleashed a thunderous right hand that connected squarely with Paul's jaw. The impact was brutal, sending shockwaves through the arena. Paul's legs buckled, and he staggered backward. His eyes glazed over as he tried to regain his balance. Tyson, sensing that the end was near, moved in for the finish. The crowd erupted as the former champion unleashed a flurry of punches, each one landing with devastating accuracy. Paul, unable to defend himself, crumpled to the canvas under the onslaught. The referee quickly stepped in, waving off the fight before Tyson could do any more damage. The entire match had lasted less than 2 minutes, a stark reminder of the gulf in skill and experience between the two fighters. As the referee signaled the end of the bout, the contrast between the two fighters was striking. Tyson, breathing heavily but still composed, returned to his corner with the calm demeanor of a man who had been there many times before. There was no need for celebration. He had simply done what he had always done: win. On the other side of the ring, Jake Paul lay on the canvas, the reality of his defeat beginning to sink in. The bravado and confidence that had defined his career up to this point were gone, replaced by a look of disbelief and shock. The knockout was more than just a physical defeat for Paul. It was a humbling experience that exposed the limitations of his approach to the sport. For years, Paul had carefully curated his career, selecting opponents who were either over the hill or lacked serious boxing credentials. His victories had built a narrative of invincibility, but Tyson's crushing right hand had shattered that illusion in an instant. Paul had underestimated the challenge of facing a true legend, and he had paid the price. Mike Tyson's performance was a testament to the enduring power of experience and skill. Despite his age, Tyson had shown that he still possessed the devastating power and ring savvy that had made him one of the most feared fighters in history. His victory over Paul was not just a win for himself, but for the sport of boxing as a whole. It was a reminder that true greatness in the ring is not about social media followers or carefully selected opponents, but about skill, discipline, and respect for the craft. In the aftermath of the fight, the boxing world was abuzz with analysis and commentary. Pundits and fans alike marveled at Tyson's performance, praising the former champion for his ability to still compete at such a high level. The consensus was clear. While Jake Paul had been successful in generating buzz and attracting attention to his fights, he had finally met an opponent who was far beyond his capabilities. Tyson's knockout of Paul was a resounding statement about the difference between a social media celebrity and a true boxing legend. For Jake Paul, the loss was a significant blow to his burgeoning boxing career. Up until this point, Paul had been able to control the narrative around his fights, positioning himself as a disruptor who could bring new energy to the sport. But Tyson's knockout had exposed the flaws in Paul's approach, leaving him with a difficult decision to make about his future in the sport. Would Paul continue to cherry-pick opponents and build his brand on spectacle? Or would he take the lessons from this fight and dedicate himself to truly becoming a legitimate boxer? The fight also had broader implications for the sport of boxing. In recent years, there has been a growing trend of celebrity boxing matches, where social media stars and other non-traditional fighters step into the ring for the sake of entertainment. While these events have generated significant attention and revenue, they have also raised concerns about the integrity of the sport. Tyson's victory was a powerful reminder that boxing is not just a platform for entertainment, but a serious and demanding discipline that requires respect and dedication. As the dust settled, the image of Jake Paul lying on the canvas, knocked out cold by a man nearly twice his age, became an enduring symbol of the fight. It was a moment that would be replayed and analyzed countless times, a stark reminder of the dangers of underestimating an opponent, especially one as experienced and skilled as Mike Tyson. For Paul, it was a humbling experience that would likely have a profound impact on his future in the sport. For Mike Tyson, the victory was a triumphant return to the ring, a moment of redemption for a man who had seen the highest highs and the lowest lows in his career. Tyson's knockout of Paul was not just a win for him personally, it was a win for the sport of boxing. It was a statement that no matter how much the sport evolves or how many new stars emerge, the fundamentals of boxing, skill, experience, and respect, will always reign supreme. In the days following the fight, the conversation among boxing fans and experts centered on what the future held for both fighters. Tyson, who had been largely retired from serious competition, had proven that he still had the power and skill to compete at a high level. Many wondered if this fight would lead to more opportunities for Tyson, perhaps even against other high-profile opponents. For Paul, the road ahead was less clear. The loss to Tyson had been a major setback, but it also presented an opportunity for Paul to reassess his approach and perhaps focus on developing his skills as a boxer rather than just seeking out the biggest paydays. The fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson will likely be remembered as a defining moment in both fighters' careers. For Paul, it was a harsh lesson in the realities of the sport, a reminder that boxing is not just about entertainment, but about skill, dedication, and respect. For Tyson, it was a chance to remind the world of his legendary status, to prove that even at 58 years old, he could still deliver a knockout punch that would be felt around the world. As the crowd filtered out of the arena, the buzz of excitement still lingered in the air. Fans knew they had witnessed something special, a fight that would be talked about for years to come. The contrasting images of Jake Paul's downfall and Mike Tyson's triumphant return served as a powerful reminder of the enduring allure of boxing, a sport where anything can happen, and where true greatness is measured not by social media followers, but by what happens in the ring. The outcome of the fight had significant ramifications for the broader landscape of boxing. In recent years, the sport has seen an influx of celebrity fighters, many of whom lack the traditional boxing background but bring with them massive followings and the promise of big paydays. While these events have attracted new audiences to the sport, they have also sparked debates about the dilution of boxing's integrity. Tyson's victory was a clear message that, despite the changing dynamics of the sport, the essence of boxing remains rooted in skill, experience, and respect for the craft. Jake Paul's defeat at the hands of Mike Tyson was a turning point, not just for Paul himself, but for the sport of boxing as a whole. It was a reminder that no matter how much the sport evolves or how many new stars emerge, the fundamentals of boxing, skill, experience, and respect, will always reign supreme. For Tyson, the fight was a fitting chapter in his storied career, a moment of redemption that will be remembered for years to come.